Hey guys, it's Renee. So today's video, the lighting is really bad. I'm actually in my bedroom and I don't have like my professional lights and stuff. So after I put my makeup on and everything, I will go outside so you can see what it looks like in better lighting. But I've got quite a few products here that are quite new that I haven't yet used. So I did want to do a first impression demo of the new foundation I picked up from L'Oreal, the Infallible 24-hour foundation. I have the shade 220 Sand, so I want to give this a go, try it out. Throughout the day I'll actually update and let you guys know how it's wearing on my skin and what I think of it. A few other products I'm going to be trying for the first time and sort of demoing them and showing you what they're like. I've also picked up a new concealer, the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in Custard, so I'll be using that for the first time. And I've also got a new Bourjois lip gloss I picked up yesterday, which I really love, so I will be using that as well. So I hope you guys enjoy this little get ready with me. The L'Oreal foundation, it does have a pump, which I really like. I am hoping this suits my skin. I've heard a lot about this foundation, so I'm definitely hoping it lasts nicely on my oily combination skin. So I'm just going to use my Sigma F80 brush to apply it. It has a funny scent. I can't think of what it reminds me of. It's kind of chemically in a way. I don't know. It does blend in really nicely, I have to say that. And it does have really nice coverage. I kind of feel like this one has a bit of a pink undertone to it. But I'll just apply the rest to this half of my face. And I'm just going to add a little bit of extra around my chin, just to see how it layers, because I do have some problem areas there. So look, it feels as though it's dried really quickly. It doesn't feel sticky whatsoever. It feels like it's sort of absorbed into my skin really nicely. It's layered incredibly well, and the coverage is, I would probably say it's a full coverage. I would be very much happy with this type of coverage. I wouldn't really need to put a second layer or anything. I'm not sure about the colour. I feel like it does look a little bit yellow, so I'm not quite sure about that, but you can definitely see it has covered a lot. I have a lot of sunspots and everything under my eyes. That's covered nicely. It's covered my dark circles. I've got some blemishes. It looks like it's covered really well. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with it so far. So I'm just going to finish off the other side of my face. The texture of the foundation itself isn't, it's not runny, but it's also not firm. So it's kind of just a medium formula, I'd say. It feels quite thin as well. Like, it doesn't feel like a thick foundation on the skin. Like, it slightly feels a bit watery as you first apply it, and then as it dries it starts to feel like a powder, which is strange because I don't think I've really had any foundations that really quite feel like that. So I just like to spend a bit of time just sort of blending it in and pushing it into my skin. Make sure it's all pushed in nicely. I feel like it's blended really nicely. It feels quite comfortable on the skin. It definitely doesn't feel as high coverage as how it looks. This is the color 220 Sand. I think the color seems to be okay, but I'm just going to see if it oxidizes or not. I do feel as though it has a bit of a pink undertone to it, so I'm not quite sure how that's going to go with my skin because I have neutral undertones. But I am sitting around an NW30 at the moment in MAC, so I feel as though this was probably the closest shade that I could find. So I'll just have to see if it oxidizes. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply some concealer with the Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer in Custard. And I have actually used this concealer a couple times and I really like it. I really love it on my skin. I feel like it has a beautiful finish. It blends really nicely. It wears really nicely on my skin as well. And I think I do actually prefer it between this and the MAC Pro Longwear. Just to put a bit of the excess on my blemishes here. I do feel like with this concealer though you have to work fast because it does dry quite quickly. So that's why I tend to do one eye at a time, because I think the first time I used it I applied under both of my eyes and then around my face, and by the time I went to blend it the streaks were a lot harder to sort of blend out. But I really like it, and this is a really nice shade. It doesn't make my under eyes too bright. So I've got my Savoir Faire under eye setting powder. This is the one that has the concealer at the top, which I don't particularly like, but the bottom has this under eye setting powder, and I absolutely love this for under the eyes just to set the concealer. This is my favorite under eye setting powder brush. Real Techniques setting brush. It's just the perfect size. So I'm just going to grab a bit of this powder. I love this powder. It is super thin and it stops that concealer from creasing, which I just love. And it doesn't make the concealer look cakey, which sometimes I find if I use like a face powder, it kind of pushes into the concealer and it makes it look all sort of creased and cakey, which I hate. So I love that this one is so thin. I really want to try a few of the under eye setting powders like the Laura Mercier and the Bare Minerals Well Rested. So as soon as this is finished I'm going to have to invest in a nice one. Alrighty. And I find if I set my under eyes nicely at the start of the day, then it will last me until the end of the night, which is good. So as my face powder, I actually picked this one up yesterday. This matches the foundation, and it's the L'Oreal Infallible powder, and I picked up the color 225 Beige. That's what this one looks like. Really nice packaging. I feel like they look really quite nice. Now I will powder my face because I always powder my face, and it will give me a realistic idea of how this lasts on my skin. So if you're the type of person that gets sort of oily skin, then you know this is typically how you would wear the foundation. So that's what I'm going to do. And I don't use much. I just use this big powder brush from Youngblood. It's the Super Powder. And I just use a tiny little bit just to basically set everything in place. And to be honest, the foundation feels a bit powdery, so you probably wouldn't even need to do this step. But I prefer the look of it and how it lasts on my skin using a powder, so I'm going to. I don't mind that powder. I've only used it, I used a tiny little bit of it yesterday, so this will be the first day really using it. So I am looking forward to seeing how that lasts. Now I'm going to bronze up my face, so I'm going to use my MAC bronzer. This is the bronzing powder in Refined Golden. This was from the MAC Alluring Aquatics collection. Then I've got my MAC 129 brush. I always use this for bronzer. I love using it for blush too. It's just the perfect size brush for distributing the product. One thing I have to say, and I'm not sure if it's the foundation or the powder, but I feel like the bronzer is hard to blend, like it's quite patchy. I don't know why. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. It feels like it doesn't blend nicely over the top. Like, I don't know if you guys can see here, I feel like it's incredibly patchy and I can't smooth it out even all along here too. And when I use like my CoverGirl Outlast Stay Fabulous, and I mean I'm so used to using the Australis Fresh and Flawless powder that I don't find I ever have this problem, so that's just a bit annoying. I really don't like how that looks. So I'm just going to go with the powder again, and I'm just going to try and blend these parts out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not having much luck there. I'm really surprised that that looks so horrible. I don't understand why. I don't know why it's coming up like that. I was really expecting to absolutely love this, so I'm just a bit surprised at the moment. But nevertheless, this is a first impression. Sometimes you have to work with a product a few times to sort of really get the hang of it. So I've just got some clear brow gel from Essence. So I'll just put this through my brows. I think I say this every single video that I really need to get my brows waxed. Sometimes I feel like it's good not to get your brows waxed too frequently, because sometimes I kind of feel like the more frequently I go, they just make my brows smaller and smaller and smaller, and yeah, I prefer fuller brows, so sometimes I like to wait as long as possible before I go again. Okay, so I'm going to go with eyes. I've got the MAC the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I'm well and truly off my game with this video. Hopefully it will all come together. So the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly, and then I've got the Sigma Precision Round P82 brush. And I'm just going to use this as an eyeshadow base. This just helps my eyeshadows last all day and all night, and it stops them from creasing, which is nice. I actually really need to put my little paint pot in the microwave. I'm actually thinking of doing this before my next project pan update, microwaving this and then pushing all the product completely flat, because I feel like it's slightly dry and it makes it a bit difficult to apply on the eyes. So yeah, I think you only need to put them in the microwave for like 10 seconds. It doesn't need long at all, really. I love this eye base though. I would buy this again once it's finished. I feel like I'm doing this all out of whack because I'm just so confused. Alright, so I'm going to use my Cinderella palette, so the new MAC one. This is called Stroke of Midnight. I have been using this pretty much every single day since I've had it, and I absolutely love it. I love all the shades. I've used every single shade as well, which Normally doesn't happen too often with some MAC palettes, and the quality of them all are really nice too. So then I've just got my Sigma Mrs. Bunny E55 shader brush, and I've just taken this whitish cream shade. This is Ploof, I think. Oh no, not Floof, Vapor. And I'm just going to apply that over the whole lid. Artiste huge, what's this called, all over shadow brush with the same shade, and then just messily blend that around. I might go in with Satin Taupe, this shade here, and just use this as a lid shade. So I'm just going to go over the whole lid, and I will blend it in a second. And this is the Real Technique shading brush as well. I find this is really nice to apply lid shades. The e.l.f. blending eye brush, and I'm actually going to go in between these two shades, and this is Amiga and Quarry, so I kind of just go back and forth, and then I use that to blend out the crease. I don't bring it up too high, but I just focus that on that crease area and blending out the Satin Taupe shade. I've just got a MAC 219, and I'm going to go into Floof, which is just a really nice, very shimmery, champagne-y type of white. Put that on the inner corners. The part that I always freak out about, the Maybelline Master Precise eyeliner. I need to use this and see how it goes. I picked this up in the 40% off Priceline sale. I've heard a lot about this, so okay, alright, hopefully I can get this on. I'm pretty impressed so far that I've actually been able to do a tiny little line, and I love how pigmented this is. I feel like you I don't know if I can talk while I'm doing this. I feel like you don't have to press hard. It's really easy to build up the liner. So far, so good. Not bad. Okay, so this is the first time I've used a pen to do a winged eyeliner look. Now, it's always hard with my eyes because I have hooded eyes, so winged eyeliner never quite turns out quite like it should, so just bear that in mind. I feel like I did an alright job there. Not too bad. I kind of messed this wing up a bit, but I'm going to just go in with a Q-tip and some concealer, fix that up, and I it's probably the first time I've been able to actually do a line that thin. I've never been able to accomplish that and also get the liner right in close to the inner part there. Love that, and really easy to use. And I am, as you can tell, I'm not the best with liner, but it came out really quite well. So I'm really quite impressed with this. So I feel like once you get the hang of how to use it and what type of liner you need to do and focus on, yeah, I think it's really good. So I will fix this up and I'll be right back. Alright, so I've just rubbed off that end with some makeup remover and a Q-tip. I've just added some extra powder and eyeshadow. There's always one eye that never quite works, right? I am going to go in with this darker shade here in the palette, which is Stroke of Midnight, and then just like a little essence brush. And I'm just going to run that slightly through the outside part of the crease, just to darken it up slightly. I feel like when I do eyeliner I stop breathing, and yeah, I have a lot of trouble with that. Mascara. Okay, so I've got my Essence Get Big Lashes mascara. Alright, so that is mascara done. Hopefully my camera doesn't turn off because it is blinking at me. I'm just going to apply some of the L'Oreal Le Blush in Rosewood. Again, this is another new item I haven't yet used. I picked this up in the Priceline 40% off sale. It's a really nice colour. I wasn't sure how this was going to look with the eyes, but it actually it looks really pretty on the skin and very pigmented, which is awesome. Then I've got my new Physicians Formula Powder Palette Mineral Glow Pearls in Beige Pearl, and I'm just going to use this as a highlighter with my Eco Tools fan brush. Holy moly! Wow, that is so glittery. That is just so glittery. I'm gonna have to show you guys outside in the sun. So that is very, very quite shimmery. It's funny because when I had originally purchased this, and even when I had hauled it, I actually remember saying that I thought that this would have an overspray because I thought it looked like, you know, that type of glittery shimmer that once you worked through it, it would get rid of it and you wouldn't have that glitteriness, but I don't think there is. It doesn't look like there is. So if you guys have this, can you let me know, because I definitely will make sure to use a lighter hand. That is full on. It looks beautiful. I don't know, it's definitely more of a going out type highlighter because it's very, very full on. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to go back in with my bronzer and just this little MAC angled brush, and I'm just going to do a little bit of contouring just at my cheeks, just where it was a bit patchy. I feel like this side is still a little bit patchy, but it looks better than what it did. Alright. Alright, so that's done. Now I need to do lips. I might actually mix two. So I've got my Arbonne lip gloss. This is in Posh Chic. I love this. I've had this for ages and it's starting to wear the label on it, but it's just a really pretty, like a very natural pinky shade, and it's just got some nice pretty shimmer through it. But this looks really nice on the lips and it lasts really beautifully too. Hopefully if it's going to focus for me. There we go. So yeah, just a really nice pretty pink, and it's not sticky, which I love. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of this lip gloss. It's the Bourjois 3D Effect Gloss. Balm Action Moisture 8 Hours in 33 Brun Poetic. And it's this really pretty, very shimmery lip gloss. I picked this up yesterday because I accidentally left all my makeup at home. So I went out on my lunch break and picked this up because I couldn't last the whole day without a lip gloss. But I really love the colour of it because it's kind of like a nudie pink. It feels beautiful on the lips and it lasts hours and hours, and it's got a tiny little brush, so it's like the perfect size for sort of distributing exactly how much product you want, which I really love because sometimes, like say wands like this, I feel like you don't really have much of a choice where you're putting the product and how much you're placing down, which I can find a little bit annoying. So yeah, so I really like that. And it looks really nice and pretty and shimmery. So I think that is my face done. Now I'm going to go outside and show you guys how it looks. I feel like it has oxidized a little bit. I am tanned, so I still feel like it looks a little bit too dark, and also a little bit pink, but I'll go outside and I'll show you guys what it looks like. This is pretty much in that natural daylight, so I'm not sure how well everything is going to show up. You can see I've got some really really crazy highlighter happening. I'll give you a closer look on my liner. Foundation match. It's still very hard to see in the viewfinder, but I do feel like my face does look a little bit too dark, but I'm not sure. I'm just going to have to see how it sort of lasts and how it looks as the day goes on. I don't mind it so far. I feel like I was able to blend out a bit of the patchiness that was sort of around my cheeks. And yeah, I'll just have to see how it lasts throughout the day. So alright, so it is 1:20 at the moment. I'll update you guys in a few hours and let you know how it's wearing and what I think of it. Alright guys, so just for my first check-in, it is just after 4:30, so it has been a little bit over 3 hours. I haven't touched up whatsoever, and I have to say I am a little bit shiny. You can see on my chin, a little bit on my nose, and sort of around my forehead. I did put a lot of highlighter on, so you know, you can ignore those areas, but my T-zone, especially my chin, is pretty bad. Other than that, I feel as though the foundation has held up quite nicely. It doesn't look like it's gone patchy or anything. I don't feel as though it has oxidized anymore. It is quite comfortable. I definitely feel like I want to touch up, but I'm purely not going to. So I have had lunch. I have actually been baking. I made some brownies, so I've been near the oven. But if I don't touch up, this is typically what my skin does. So I will end up checking it back in a few hours time, and I will let you know how my foundation is wearing. I'm here with another check-in. So it is now 7 o'clock. So it has been almost 3 hours since my last check-in, and it's been almost 6 hours since I've had the foundation on. And you can see I look very oily. Now, you know, as I've been saying, forget about the highlighter, but all the T-zone is just, doesn't look good. So I'm actually going to touch up. I'm going to use the same powder as I did earlier, the Infallible powder. I'm just going to touch up those areas, and then I will check in later on and see how it's holding up. I have to say though, other than the oiliness, there's no patchiness whatsoever. So I'm just going to see how this goes with the touching up. So you can see there, the powder is definitely working. It's not going on cakey whatsoever. It's not moving the foundation or sticking to it. It's just sort of getting rid of that shine. So you can see that the, you know, with a bit of a touch up, it definitely helps get rid of that sort of, that shine. You only want that sort of shine where it looks nice. Definitely not anywhere in the T-zone. So I think as a touch-up powder, it has worked really nicely, and it has lasted really nicely up to this point, to be honest with you. I would probably never ever go this long without having touched up. So in a normal wear, to be honest, I actually find this to be really nice so far. So even though it did come across quite shiny looking, I'm still really happy. Even up to this point, you can still see my blush. My dog keeps moving the tripod. You can still see the blush, the bronzer. Obviously, you can see that highlight that I put there. Now that I have touched up, I will check in later on tonight and see how it holds up. So it is 7 o'clock now, and I will check back in soon. Hey guys, so it is now 9:15, so it has been now 8 hours since I put this makeup, this foundation combination on. In the last update, I did actually do a bit of touch up with powder. For the most part, it has held up, but I definitely feel as though I have gotten quite oily again. And I think for me, the biggest sort of wonder about this type of foundation and the powder is I didn't really go out, I didn't really leave the house. I only sort of stuck around the house and cleaned and cooked and things like that. So I didn't really do a whole lot in order to get my face to be this oily. So I'm not entirely sure about that. Now, with the foundation itself, it does say that it has 24-hour just applied finish, 24-hour flawless complexion, no transfer, no visible imperfections, no visible shine, no dry out, no mask effect. And it says that it's a hydrating, extreme hold pigment for optimum comfort. So, I mean, to be honest, with a lot of my other foundations, I don't find that I really get this oily. I'm really not this shiny. I mean, you can even see on my chin, like, it feels really oily. So for this to say that it has, you know, no visible shine, maybe in the first hour or two from wearing it, but yeah. Apart from the shine factor, I do have to say that it's lasted beautifully in the fact that it hasn't separated. It hasn't come away from my nose. So in a lot of my other foundations, I tend to go really quite patchy around my nose. I tend to go a bit patchy around my chin, and that hasn't happened. It also isn't separating or breaking down around my nose, even though I'm oily, so it hasn't done that, which is really nice. It's still held my blush, my bronzer, and my highlight really nicely. In terms of how it looks, minus the shine, it looks beautiful. If you had dry skin, I think it would be just perfect. I think for me, the only way that I could really last happily with using this type of foundation would be to touch up every couple of hours. But I have to say, you know, in terms of how it looks for as long as I've had it on, it still looks really nice. You know, there's no patchiness. It hasn't come off anywhere. You know, it hasn't smudged, it hasn't streaked, none of that. So, yeah, so I have to say, I think this is a foundation that, you know, I've tested this out. I've only touched up once throughout the whole day, which I normally never do. It's something that I'll have to try on again until I can make up my mind with what I think of it. Now, in terms of the colour, I did use 220 Sand. Now, I was a bit worried that it was going to be a little bit too pink on my skin. I don't mind it and I could definitely wear it, but I still do feel as though it is a little bit pink compared to my body. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching my wear test with the L'Oreal Infallible foundation and the powder. I hope this was useful if you're thinking of picking these up. If you have tried these out, definitely let me know what you think about it and what shade you use. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye.